If you are dreaming of staying in Sweden for a long period of time but confused about how to get permanent residency or citizenship, or the pathways to permanent residency and citizenship, then make sure to watch this video to the very end. So whether you are an international student or you're a skilled worker or you are just a new immigrant, today I'll be breaking down the pathways to PR and citizenship in Sweden. And trust me, it's simpler than you think. So in today's video, I'll cover everything from how long you need to stay in Sweden, the documents you'll be needing, and even some tips to avoid common mistakes that could delay your application. So grab a pen or a notebook and let's dive straight into today's video. Now, permanent residency or PR allows you to live and work in Sweden for without worrying about renewal of a resident permit. That is the temporary resident permit that we currently have or you are going to have when you are coming here. Now, to get PR in Sweden, the general rule is that you need to have legally lived here for 5 continuous years within a valid resident permit. This could be as a student or a worker or family member of someone who is a permanent resident or a citizen, right? So the key here is you maintaining a valid permit to for the whole time that you'll be here in Sweden. That means there should be no break or pause in your permit. If you have gaps in your resident permit, this could restart your clock. Now, what do I mean by gaps or what do I mean by break? Now, let's assume I applied for a work permit, right? I applied for a work permit and I got denied the work permit and I'm asked to leave. And probably in the process of me leaving, another company decides to apply for work permit for me and I leave and then I come back, meaning that there's now a gap in my resident permit. Like my resident permit didn't flow like consistently, like this one finishes, you renew, this one finishes, you renew. No, there's now already a break. So it means that I have to start counting again all over from the beginning. So that's why what I mean by you shouldn't have a gap or it has to be a continuous and valid resident permit. But now there's something you need to know or be aware of. Your time as an international student counts towards PR only if you'll be pursuing a PhD degree or a PhD position, meaning that your studies must show that it will lead to a long-term work opportunities. And in Sweden, having a PhD is considered a job. Now, what do I mean by this? Now, for those of you that would not like to pursue a PhD degree or position, your path to PR starts counting from the day you are granted a work permit, right? So for you to apply for a PR in cases like this, you will need to have worked and lived and paid tax for a period of 48 months, which is 4 years. Now, what other key points do you need to know in order for you to be considered for PR? One thing is you need to be financially stable. You must prove that you can support yourself or your family financially. As a worker, this means you should have a pay slip, you should have your contract, you should have proof of your employment. So these are some of the things that you need to show in order to show that you are eligible to have a permanent residency here in Sweden. Secondly, you must have a good conduct. You don't want to have any major legal issues or you are owing money during your stay in Sweden. A lot of people borrow money and their names go to the credit credit organization here in Sweden. They call it chronofogo. Like there are people that collect money back that you're supposed to pay back that you didn't pay back. So you want to have a good conduct. Let's be free from debt, be free from any crime, any bad behavior, be free from it in order for you to be considered for PR. Another thing you need to take into consideration is your housing. For if you are the type that will be applying with your family, you must be able to show that you all have an adequate housing. Now they are going to consider how many children are in the house or in the family, how many rooms are you people staying, right? So you need to put this into consideration. Now let's talk about citizenship. Once you've lived in Sweden for long enough, you can apply for citizenship. Now, citizenship gives you a full right as a Swedish national, including voting, including traveling to all every EU country without restriction, and how you, then with citizenship you don't need to worry about renewing any resident permit again. But from June of 2016 2026, that's next year, a new law is going to be is being proposed. It's not yet into effect yet, but it's going to be proposed that you must have lived in Sweden for 8 years before you can be eligible for citizenship. Now, for you to be considered for citizenship, you must have continuously resided in Sweden, meaning that you must have lived here for the required amount of time for you to be considered for citizenship. Another thing is your PR status. You need to hold a permanent residency permit. That means that you cannot jump from having a temporary residency to jumping to citizenship. No, you must follow the pattern: temporary residence, permanent residence, then citizenship. So you must hold a PR first before you get your citizenship. Another thing you need to know in order for you to be considered for PR, your conduct. Like, this is one of the reasons why they deny people citizenship. Probably you have one illegal thing, maybe you went to steal or you stole one big thing. No, so your conduct is very important. It's important that you have no criminal records and you are being financially responsible. It's very, very important. Like, you don't owe any government organization money, or even if you borrow money, you pay at the right time, you pay when you're supposed to pay. So your conduct is very, very important. So make sure that before you apply, you are debt free and that there's no longer any allegations of any legal issues with you. No. These days, this Sweden is now very, very strict when it comes to giving citizenship. So before you apply, make sure you tick all these boxes. Another thing you need to know is Sweden accepts dual citizenship. So you can have your home country's citizenship and still have their own. So you are good to go. So now let's talk about the documents that you'll be needing to apply for either your PR or your citizenship. So whether you are applying for PR, whether you're applying for citizenship, you will need to provide documents to support your application. For PR, you need your passport copies. You need to prove your identity, and also they want to see your entry and exit into the country. They want to know when you entered, how long have you, how when have you stepped out, and when did you step back in. So they want to see your travel history. That's why they're asking for your passport. The second thing you need to show proof of your residence, like your housing contract, your utility bill, how much you pay every month apart from your normal rent, how much you pay, because this is important, because you need to calculate this to know if the amount of money you are earning is enough for you and your family members that you'll be applying with. So you need to have that at the back of your mind. Another thing that they are going to check is your proof of legal stay, like how long have you been living in Sweden. They want to see the progression of your resident permit, how you have been living here in Sweden. Another thing you need to another thing you need is your proof of financial stability. Now, if you are single or you have family, you need to show that you can support yourself and your family. So you need to submit your pay slip, you need to submit your employment contract, and then for students that will be applying to PhD, for students that got PhD already and they want to apply for permanent residency, now they need to show maybe their study records, their bank statements, if they had scholarship and things like that. So these are some of the things they need for PR application. Now for citizenship, you need also your passport and your PR card. You need your residence record showing your how long you've stayed in Sweden, and if they want to know if it's a continuous stay. Another thing you need is your tax record. So you need to go to the tax office to print out your tax record from probably the time your your PR started counting, or the time your work permit started counting. You have to print that out to show that you've been paying tax all this while in throughout your stay in Sweden. Another thing you need for your citizenship application is police clarification or police clearance. This is to show that, oh, you are free from crime, you are free from any illegal activities, so you have good conduct, right? So these are going to help you in your application for citizenship. Now, in order for you to avoid delay and rejection, you want to keep some things in mind. First is for students. Now, if your field of study is your field of study is very important when it comes to getting granted for permanent residency or citizenship. Sweden loves people that are in the high demand, or fields that are in high demand. We have fields like IT, we have fields like healthcare, engineering, transport, or fields that that supports sustainability or contributes to sustainability. So if you are a student, you want to focus on that. So you will be at a greater advantage to get your PR or citizenship faster. Another thing you need to bear in mind is, if you're a worker, make sure you maintain your work permit. You must make sure to keep your work permit valid. So try and don't have a break. If you lose your job, do fast and and see how you can get another job, so that you will reapply again, so that there's no break in your work permit. Another thing you need to have in mind in order to avoid rejection is to learn the language, right? Some PR and citizenship application are processed faster if you can demonstrate that you know the language. In fact, the new law that is yet to be proposed, that is under review, wants all immigrants to have passed the language course, right? So especially for citizenship, learning the language, submitting a course, submitting a certificate that you learn the language is very, very important. So it's going to help you to tick that box. In fact, if you've not even learned the language, don't even bother applying for citizenship. Don't even bother. You get. So learning the language is very important. And it's not just important because, oh, I want to get citizenship. No, it helps you to integrate into the system. It helps you to get better jobs, you get. So learning the language is very, very important. Another thing you need to know in order to get your application processed faster is try to keep record of everything. Like, from the moment you maybe get your work permits, or start keeping record, your pay slip, your work contract, your work employment. Keep records of all these things, because you will need them when it's time to start submitting documents. You will need them. And probably now, maybe where we always go to get all these documents, maybe years have passed and it's no longer is no longer saved in the website where we save all these things. So please, if possible, try to keep records of all these things. You will need them. You don't want to have a missing document when you're applying for your PR or your citizenship, so that your application will be processed faster. Then we have another thing you need to do is to stay informed. Why? Because the laws are changing almost every day. Laws are changing, new laws are coming, changing the old ones. So you want to keep yourself abreast with the new laws that are coming, get to know what is happening, read news. Because see, when you come here, you will read news. News is important, because with the news you will know your next step, you will plan for your next step. So keep yourself abreast with the news about what is going on in the country. And guys, remember that this your application, once it's submitted, it can take several months, sometimes 1 year, 2 years before it can get granted. They don't used to rush to respond to PR and citizen as application. So bear in mind that your application can take up to 6 months, 12 months, 1 year, 2 years to get granted, right? So don't come when you've not heard anything from them. Don't come and be rushing them and saying, oh, you've not heard anything from them. Patience, they are going to answer you. And that's it for today's video. If you found this video helpful, please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this. Guys, if you have any personalized video you want me to make, please leave them in the comment section. If you need help with your application or things like that, please, there's a link in the description box. You can check it and send me an email and we'll discuss. Thanks for watching today's video, and I'll see you in my next video. Hey though.